Thank you to our 4 sponsors for supporting our podcast: Johnny Russell's Art Caterers and Milltown Pies, Alexander Grace Law, Jez and Lisa's Spoonful of Sweets, and SPE Furnishings. Links to their websites are available in the show notes and on our website. Don't forget to subscribe to get all the latest episodes as soon as they're released.
If this might not be included in it, I guess, but with the return of Dom Stewart this week, I can tell you a story about him, where Finchy was coming back to play after he'd been away in Sri Lanka or something. So Dom was sat in the changing rooms, and we said, Finchy's coming back next week. He went, "Oh, Jonathan Finch, heard a lot about him." and then the week after, when Finchy did come back and Dom was playing, Dom had curry and chips. Had curry and chips. So he was sat eating it. He went, What's that, Dom? He went, "It's curry." "Are you sure?" He went, "Yeah." He went, "Just smell it for me." And Finchy pushed the curry in his face with the chips, so he had curry all over his face.
Oh no. It's a big lad, he's Dom, and I'm not sure how hard Finchy is, but anyway.
It was very funny. It was very funny.
Fantastic.
Gordon, send more house to save the house.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another Housecast, where we're reviewing some of the most recent games over the last 2 or 3 weeks, chatting through, seeing what good stories there are out there, and just updating people of what's going on at the club. I hope you're enjoying this side of it. We're not going to waffle on as much as we did about the scores, etc. We're going to fly through and just listen to any stories about the games and what's happened. So, got our usual co-hosts on. So we'll start off with Dooch. Joe Beneduce, good to catch up with you yesterday. How's things going for you?
All good, thanks, Jez. Yeah, all good.
Yeah, that's good.
Not
That's
much
good.
to
Good
report,
to see.
really.
No, you're doing a sterling job in your managerial role. I know you went over to Todd yesterday to oversee a few things, but we'll come on to that shortly. Well done. Gary, all the way down south. Glad you could join us again today. I know it was touch and go, but it's good to have your input from distance, and sure you've got some searching questions for either myself or the players or the managers. How's it going, Gaz?
Yeah, it's great to see everybody again, Jez. Couldn't wait to get on to this episode, to be honest.
Brilliant. Good to hear. And to the last co-host, probably the man of the moment after yesterday, Joe Martin. How's it going, Joe?
Yeah, very well, thank you, Jez. Yeah,
good.
Very good. No, I was all right. I did my yoga in the morning, and I went for a run and stuff. Now we're ready.
You did your yoga?
Yeah, every morning.
Okay. Yeah, well, we'll come on to it. Joe got 50 odd yesterday, played all right. But he generally whinges about various injuries the day after, but he's busy lathering his hands up again in the West End room. So a little bit of a different format this time. We've had guests on before that we'd want to talk about the games too. This time we thought we'd invite the second team captain on, my brother Matt Hope. How's it going, Matt?
Yeah, very good, thank you. Yeah, all good. All good.
Thanks for coming on, Matt. The idea is just to get a flavour for the second team. You know, they're as important as any team within the club, and we need to know what's happening, how things are going. It's a difficult job, but we're having a pint with Dooch. I think it was not last weekend, the weekend before, and he was talking about how difficult it is. I know Dooch helps out, and he has been the second team captain for a number of years and helping out in that role. So go on, Dooch, just go through in brief what you were saying about what it's like in the second team and what Matt's up to.
Well, it is difficult because obviously they make the first team lose a player, you automatically lose your best player, and that can sometimes happen on a Friday. So it is very, very difficult second team captaincy for them. Those is difficult. Then you add into that some of the characters that are in that changing room, which I'll let Matt talk about. But all in all, it's a very difficult job. And we have had a few sticky spells this year, but we've come out with it. We're doing really well. Good.
That's good to hear, and it's good to see, Mark. You're back playing. At your age, it's not that easy, but you'll obviously contribute with the ball and obviously with your experience. How have you found it for this season, Mark? After the COVID, it's quite a young side. There's some real characters there, and what Joe's alluded to. How have you found the season gone so far?
The overwhelming factor is how different it is to the previous 2 years. Obviously, we had the COVID year last year, which was not enjoyable, if I'm being totally honest. The no dressing rooms, the lack of competitive cricket, and then the previous year, when I came back to help, I wasn't captaining at first. Jordan was doing it. He moved away, so it just fit in nicely that I was there to take it on board. And that cricket compared to this that we're playing in now is absolutely poles apart. And unbelievably. I think we got promoted. We came second. We only lost 3 games. One to Great Harwood when we did have a bit of a weakened side, and we got hammered by Haslenden twice, who are now top of the first division.
Right.
But the rest of them were some very, very average cricket.
And that was 2009.
I don't know for definite, Jez. I'm not going through everything, but I bet there was 10 times, Joe, when we bowled first and they didn't get 120.
Right. 10 times when they didn't get 90.
Probably, mate. Yeah, probably. Yeah. So that was a completely different set of cricket, to be fair. And we've come in this year, and similar side. We've been fortunate to have Finchy for a few games, who's been fantastic. We've had Dom Stewart for one. But apart from that, it's been fairly similar side to the one that we had in 2019. A couple of the younger lads have come through. Yeah, the cricket is just so far apart. It hits home that we played the first game, and I'm sure it was at Norden, and we played, and there was Finchy, Dom Stewart in the side, and I think we got 170, 160, something along those lines, and we had 100 for 5. And the previous year, they wanted 120. But 2 lads who've come in, and I say lads, middle-aged, 30, 35, 40-year-olds, came in who've got lots of first-team runs behind them and won a game. So straight away, and there was myself, Finchy, and Dom Stewart bowling probably 80% of the overs at them. So that was a big eye-opener. This is different. This is going to be a lot more competitive than the season before, and it's took them a while, but I think over the period of time that we've been through those, we've had it. I think we then beat Darwin, then we beat Walsden, who have won it for a few years or been up in the top 2 or 3 for a few years, and then we got hammered off Haslenden, got hammered off Clitheroe, got hammered off Riston in the cup. But the overwhelming thing that was happening in those defeats, I think we got beat one other game against Burnley, but we battled. No, Burnley was very similar. We had Burnley Joe, 110 for 9 or 110 for 8.
Yeah.
And they got 170 and then bowled us out. So, but we've sat and talked about it every game. I'm not one for bollockings or going over the same things, but we were just making the same mistakes and over and over and over again. And we lost a tight game at Rochdale. I think we lost by 18 runs. One of the young lads come in and got a fantastic 60-odd, Joel Sharp.
Right.
And we lost by 19 against a very experienced old side. And we looked at the scorecard, and it had been happening over and over again. We've been talking about it. And we bowled 34 wides, and they bowled 11. And things like that, and things that of them taking responsibility from themselves for what they do, I think that it hit home to them, and had quite a serious discussion in the dressing rooms afterwards about how we've let ourselves down. They haven't beat us because they're better. We've done that because of our inabilities to do the basics right. And we've talked about, and I've always said, yeah, cricket's a team game, and it's the best team game I've been involved in. But it can be so individual within that team.
Yeah.
And if you don't take responsibility for yourself batting the top six and get us that score that we need, or you don't bowl in pairs or take the scruff of the net when you're bowling, it doesn't matter about the team, because it can be very. I don't want people to be selfish and batting from themselves, but they've got to take responsibility. And that's something I've been working on over the period of time. And just the last 3 weeks, it's actually all clicked. And I'm not saying it's going to click for the rest of the year, just because there's some very good sides in there. But we've won 3 on the bounce. We beat Colne.
Yeah.
Tommerden yesterday. And who were the one in between, Joe? Crompton, yeah. And they're all like a good mixture of experienced players in the side. Crompton were very experienced. Todd were yesterday. But we've comfortably won. And it's just so good to see that they seem to have listened, and that's the biggest thing. They've not been lucky. And I'll pick a few of them. Joel Sharp, he's not been lucky coming in the side and getting a 20 odd, a 60 odd, a 70 odd.
Yeah.
He's listened and looked. And I've never seen a 15, 16-year-old lad come off the game at Rochdale after getting a 60 odd and disappointed he hadn't won as a game. He's 15-year-old.
Brilliant. Oh, that's brilliant to hear.
And then you have a chat with him and talk to them how they've got there and what they can do. Charlie Bithell has just got his first wicket at Colne 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Of the season. And then he was one of the culprits of bowling the wides. And then bowled really well against Colne, got 3 wickets, bowled well at home to Crompton, and then got 5, I think he had figures yesterday of 4 overs, 4 wickets for 1 run.
Yeah.
And it just seems as though, I don't know whether I haven't asked them if they're getting what we've been trying to do, but they must be doing, because they're all contributing and doing well.
Yeah, I mean, Matt, is it worth? I mean, I've looked at those scorecards you're just talking about there, and there's a lot of young kids in there. And I know we've played previously, and we've always tried to get the young players in the second team. But you fly through, Henry. What's he? 17, 18? 16. Yeah. Haggers. He's still a great player. He's not a young kid anymore, but he can, I'm sure Haggers helps out the juniors and brings them through. Tom Olstead, Dirks' lad, like you said, Sharp and Laraway and Bithell and Kieran, some good young lads there. And that is not including the other players who are possibly in and out of the first team squad, in Tom York Robinson and Simmy and these other players. So there's a nucleus of a good squad there. So, you're quite upbeat about it. And are you enjoying it?
Yeah, absolutely, Jez. And it's great to say, and I get, I do get so much pleasure out of seeing them develop and them coming on and listening and taking it on board, because there has been times and there has been people who they look at you and just think, what do you know? Shut up. I do this or I do that. But not one of these seem to do that. You know what I mean? They all look and listen. Yeah, there are some characters in there. There are, and it's a good laugh. You've got your Tom Halsteads and your Declan Stansfields and Agate. They're all their own characters, but they're all still listening. And to go to the point of where we played at Darwin, and it got to a stage where with Tommy Robinson in the side, Fincher in the side. And I think me and Finch had bowled our overs, and it got to the point where we needed to bring one of the young lads on. And Tom and Henry bowled last 8 overs in a tight game and won its game.
Brilliant.
So you just think that's brilliant. And it could have backfired that me and Finch had bowled out, but it just got to the point where they're there. And Joel Sharp got that 6 at Rochdale, 7 at home to Crompton. It is, and you've got now the older end of them, if you will. They're going to say older end, the 21, Charlie Bithell, Simmy, that kind of people. All now, Agate contributes more seasons. But they're all coming on and contributing, and actually feel like they are doing something. You know what I mean? They're not. It's not just about them. It's not just about playing in thirds or fourths or in the 15s, whatever they're doing. They're actually feeling like they're playing in a good standard of cricket, in a good side. We have a laugh, and they seem to be learning, and it is really good. And those 3 weekends that we've just had haven't happened by luck. It's by them by listening to what I've been saying, what Joe's been saying, what Stan said, because Stan's come in the dressing room a couple of times afterwards, and what Agate says when he's batting with them. And they actually seem to look now as though they're actually thinking about the game, which is half the battle.
Brilliant. No, that's fantastic, and good on you for taking them all on. I've heard, I don't know any of these players. I'm not wanting to go in the dressing room or we'll have a chat with them afterwards or anything, but I believe there's a couple of characters in the side.
Yeah, characters are strange. Well, Dec Stanny is the one. He's just bonkers.
He's a ringleader, isn't he?
He's just one on his own. He's just daft.
Right, Matt, could we possibly describe him as a flapdoodler?
As a what?
A flapdoodler.
What does that mean?
It's a speaker of nonsense. It's in the thesaurus. It's a speaker of nonsense. So he's a flapdoodler then.
Absolutely, and it should have his name after it.
Right, okay.
A picture.
And a picture of him.
Inset. Dec Stanny.
Jez, how would you have reacted if somebody had had a hairdryer on the go in the changing room when you were playing? And you, Gary, as well, how would that have gone down in your day?
I don't think it have ever crossed anybody's consciousness. Joe, why? What's happened?
I just wondered what your reaction would be. That was all. If someone got a bright purple hairdryer out,
I think it'd have been
drying her hair.
No. I think it's a bit of fallacy. That Joe, I just can't imagine that happening at all. It would have been turned up to full and shoved where the sun don't shine.
Yeah. Wow, what's happened? What's happened, Matt?
I don't want to name names or drop anybody in the shit, but Charlie Bithell, we obviously been aware of what we need to do and taking opportunities when we can go in the dressing room and when we can't. But he thought he'd got away with not many people being in there and was going out to his new girlfriends, which might be the reason why he started bowling all right. Had a shower and got changed and then just walked over to the corner and plugged this bright purple hairdryer in to put his hair in a quiff.
Didn't think anything of it. Didn't think that there would be repercussions.
I don't know. I don't think, because that's what they do, Jez. That's what they
do.
I must have paid for a coach for your end of season trip then, at least.
Absolutely. Yeah. He gets scanned every week. Stansfield can't walk past a mirror. If he were chocolate, he'd lick himself. he can't walk past the mirror without looking at himself.
Dec's the leader, is he? He's the ringleader.
Yeah, he's the daftest. You've got Tom Olstead that is, God bless him, thick as two short planks. But then you've got the other little characters in there, like Henry can be a little bit cheeky.
No way.
Absolutely, a little bit mischievous, yeah. And then you've got Dirks, who's just similar to Tom Olstead, but not as angry, just dopey. You know what I mean? So you've got Agate, who's just like the grumpy old man of the team, wants to smash his kit up every time he gets out, no matter what he does.
What would you describe Kiro? He's like your little helper, isn't he, Kiro? He doesn't gets your pies from tea rooms.
Talent.
He gets one for himself as well, by the way.
He does, yeah. But again, that's gone to the wayside now because when Finchy played for us for a few games, he'd bat at 3, and we've got Henry and Aggers opening, and we've struggled to find a number 3. Simmy and Joel Sharp both like to get on with it, so I don't really want to expose them as early because they just go in and just put back to ball from ball 1. Tried Tom Olstead. That resulted in him getting a 2-game ban because it got banned for 2 games for whacking a wheelie bin on his way out. So yeah, my little helper Kiro, he's batted at 3 last couple of weeks, and he's got 20 odd, and he got teams not out yesterday. So I'm gonna have to find someone else to go and get me pies.
Right, because I believe Kiro had a challenge, didn't he, for a couple of weeks, and he achieved it, and that's what's helped him.
I think so. He did. He failed. It was being a bit bravado. I give him 2 weeks to fulfil this this challenge, and he said, "I'll do it in a week."
Right,
and then fail first week, So he owes me a pound. I still ain't got it, but he did manage it in the second week.
Legal representation has been on the phone to say we can't go into that story any further. And if you want to know what the challenge is, you have to ask Kiro yourself.
All right. Okay. Thanks for that, Joe. Thanks. It's good to have our legal rep, Mark Stewart, always listening in. So that's good. Yeah. Okay, Mark. I mean, it's great to hear that everyone seems to be having good fun. They're playing good cricket, and like you said, and I suppose there's going to be a knock-on effect. I didn't think of it much before, but first teams get stronger when they get in that first division, and it's going to knock on to the second teams. And there is going to be that difference between the two leagues, and I guess that's what you're alluding to between the 2019 season and now.
Absolutely, and like Joe said, we haven't had Tommy Robinson for a month, and as Joe said right at the beginning, it's not just that when someone can't play in the first team, it's our best player that goes.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest thing for us. That sometimes you've got Tom, who I believe is holding his own in the first team, not pulling up any trees, not doing a massive amount with regards to opportunities, but he would be probably our best bowler and one of the best batters. So to not have him in the team,
it's losing your pro in it almost.
Absolutely, yeah. But we are so lucky, and there's a lot to come. Like Henry has been fantastic, and I'm hoping that the rest of them, the likes of George Durkin and Dec's had 150, Dirk's had a couple of late 20s. I just hope that they can see what the others have done, the Henrys and Kiros and Joel Sharps, and then can contribute in a way that I know they can. But they're certainly better players than they were 2 years ago.
What's selection like, Matt? You talked about players getting the chance in first team through cry-offs or injury or things like that. But what's selection like during week? Have you been in a position yet where you're saying to Ben, you really need to think about X or Y?
Very close, Gary, and probably I think it was almost this weekend. Myself and Joe had chatted about it, and Stan, and I'm sure Joe mentioned it to Ben, that it's probably too long now for Tom to be in the first team without bowling. And he's been bowling 3 and 4 overs, opening the ball and bowling 3 and 4 overs, batting at 10 or 11. We are conscious of that because that won't be doing him any good in the long term. I think he's got to the point now where he's had his opportunities, had that taste of it. He hasn't let anybody down. He's looked not out of place at all. But I just think now he needs to come back in to the second team and bowl 12 overs a game and bat in the top 6. But we haven't been anywhere near that, to be fair. I think this is the first week that we've had to leave someone out of the seconds, and that was Ethan Larraway. We've had young Yusuf Nadim's come in and had a couple of opportunities. He played against Hasland and Burnley and didn't fill himself with a great deal of glory, but then played against Colne and Crompton and took his chance and bowled really well. So we're now getting to a stage where, and I think we might have one more this weekend, where we're going to have to leave someone out, which is not ideal, but it's a better place than scratching around and trying to find players on a Friday night or Saturday morning. Joe, we said right at the start, myself and Joe, that we us two wouldn't play together if there was a younger person who was ready for the opportunity. If we were being selfish and just looking at winning second team cricket games, Joe would play every week. But we'll both understand to have both me and him in there, then it is going to restrict someone coming in from one of the younger teams. But we won't put anybody in who's not ready, who doesn't deserve a chance. Yusuf deserved his chance for what he'd done in the thirds or fourths, whichever side he plays in. So Joe's up more than happy to stand down, and then if we come back to that situation again, Joe will come in and step in again. So no, it's good, and it's only going to get better. This week, Dom Stewart's back. Unfortunately, Tommy Robinson's not available. Ben's out. So there's always seems to be something. You can sit down on a Tuesday night and think, wow, if we had them 22 players available. But unfortunately, I don't think we've had it yet, Joe, haven't we not? We haven't had the 22 that we would want to start haven't been available.
I mean, it sounds like a good arrangement, good format you've got going there, because you're minimising any disappointment for the kids and the lads who like you say, starting playing senior cricket, and yet you've got all that experience and guidance around to sort of bring them through whatever they need to know. So it sounds great.
Yeah, no, it is, and we'll also, I think Joe played in the last 2 weekends before this one. We won't pick someone out of the thirds who's not done anything in the thirds or fourths, so they've got to have warranted coming into the side. So, and I'm not saying they've been taking 3 or 4 fifers on the trot, but someone who's got a bit of potential, looks like they've got something, bowled okay, could hold their own, then just like Yusuf did, and they begin opportunity. So, no, it's working well, and we have got a few more of those up the sleeve. Joel Sharp wasn't probably even in my thoughts in April. Got his opportunity on the back of decent scores in the thirds, and I just took to it so well, and it's just been like a breath of fresh air of what else there might be in there that we don't know of yet, and just need to do a few more performances to come in and take the opportunity, because there's nothing better than, and I think they all know that now, and I think they can see that they're not as daft and as silly they can be. I think they now realise that they're not going to get picked if they're not performing.
Yeah, and it's that pressure which will help them, in future. And the things can only get look up over the next couple of years, keeping hold of those players. So, Definitely. That's brilliant, Matt. Thank you very much for that. Dooch, anything you want to add before we'll let Matt go off and get back to his training?
No, nothing from me.
John Martin?
No, just that he's doing a great job. I think he should be very proud of what he's doing.
Thank you. No,
that's very emotional.
Yeah, I know.
As ever, Jez.
Yeah, it's good, and it is good, and it makes a difference when you win, obviously. But it is good to see the lads walking around with a smile on their face and feeling happy with what they've achieved. So no, it's good.
Brilliant. No, you're doing a great job there, Matt. We're going to talk through a few other bits and bats with the first team and other things. Thanks ever so much, Matt, for coming on.
Cheers.
Cheers, mate. Bye.
Bye.
So there we've got second team captain. For those who maybe haven't listened previously, Joe Beneducci helps out with the selection process and oversees really the first and second team, and Stan then helps out with the third and fourth. So there is some sort of continuity and an overall guidance. So Dooch, I know you undersell yourself and you don't like the praises, but I really mean this when I say you're doing a great job in doing that, and I think it does help Ben a lot, and Stan and Matt. So good work. Go on. You've been extremely quiet throughout this, Joe Martin. So I'm going to bring you in. We're going to talk about the first team very shortly, but I think it's about time we announced our little bit of success that we've had.
Oh yeah, of course.
Should we go through that? So, listeners, I don't know if there's some rumours circulated about a bit of an award. When we started this podcast, before any COVID came along or anything else, Joe Martin and my son Adam had the idea of putting something together, and it was just a little daft idea in the West End room. I think we had Dooch and Johnny Russell on earlier in our early episode, probably the first episode. But lo and behold, via a competition that Lancashire County Cricket Club run, the Game Changer of the Month, we've been awarded the winners for June. And it was presented on Tuesday. So can you just talk us through what happened Tuesday and what that was like, getting the presentation?
Yeah. So obviously we won the award, and we were told that they were going to come on the Tuesday. So they did a full video of the club. Stan was working on the ground with no shirt on. So they managed to video.
So did they get that in shot?
That was in shot, so that's great.
That's good, yeah.
They interviewed me and Adam as well.
Yeah.
So we went through how it started, what we did during lockdown, and the kind of effect that it had, and bits about the cricket club as well. So the effect that the cricket club has on the community. Stephen Croft came.
All right, okay.
And he did a bit of an interview as well, and then they presented us with the award, and they've given us 150 quid to the club as well, so they can spend that on whatever they want to. It's
brilliant.
It's quite good. I don't think we come on here for any accolades or anything, but it's
no.
But it's
good to get recognised, and if people are enjoying it, like we've said before, we'll carry on doing it. So good work, everyone who's been involved, us four, and the people behind the scenes who help out. So good work. We'll move on. We'll go into the first team games. So I'll just start off. I think we'll do the two T20s first, if that's all right. Dooch and Joe Martin. The Aki game, we spoke about it previously, where we were praising the league exec for the problems that they'd come across with the Accrington, some of the Accrington players and staff showing positive for COVID. So that was obviously got moved, but then they rearranged it. But unfortunately, it was rained off, Joe. Was there just no chance of getting that game on?
I don't know. I think that if you really wanted to play, you probably could have. But
right.
It felt like when they came off, when he did start raining, we stayed on for a little bit in the rain, and then it came on a bit harder, and they brought us off, and it seemed fair enough at that stage. But then it did that really annoying thing where it got really, really light again. Yeah. The rain got really, really light and fine, and they just never brought us back on. I thought we could have come back on at one stage when the rain had eased off a little bit.
Right.
But
and if you come on, then you generally don't come off, do you? Once you're actually playing. So, I mean, we looked in a good position under 11 for 1. Yeah. With 7 overs left, Pro's 53 off, not a great deal, and Frankie's 49 off, not a great deal. So that's the way it goes. But we move on then to the Colne game, which was last week. Just talk us through what happened there, will you please, first, Joe Martin?
Yeah, so we couldn't go through. So it was quite a good opportunity, actually, to give some people a go.
Yeah.
We batted first, and Jack Sim opened batting with Francois, and Simmy batted brilliantly. It was brilliant to watch. The ball was going in all kind of directions, and it was chancing his arm, as you do at 2020 cricket, and it was coming off, and he hit some really clean strikes and some great shots. It was brilliant to see. It was really good. I was so pleased for him. It was great.
And that's his first senior 50. And I've seen from Twitter and other posts that he's obviously got a lot of applaudits, and he's obviously a likeable lad. Gary, just for your benefit, a great lad. He's played at the club since a really young age. Comes through, played in the first team quite a bit. And I think, Dooch, you had a few comments to make about it. Certainly, how he battered and what type of character he is.
Yeah, 2 points really. First on how he played. I think that's the first time he's actually battered for the first team in a T20 game, despite having played a number of times. And he did, Joe's right, he did chances on, but he also played some proper cricket shots, particularly early on. He played a few unorthodox ones a little bit later on in his innings, but he did play really well.
Yeah. It's a brilliant cover drive, Dooch, didn't it? Early on.
Yeah, early on off the pro.
Off the pro. It was a brilliant shot. It was quality.
Yeah.
And I was on the decking, and I think that is possibly the most popular 50 that I remember seeing in recent times. Right. Both from the first team lads on the dressing room, and some of the second team lads were sat behind me on the decking. And the good feeling for Jack was clear to see. But just the other side of it, he's probably played a chunk of first team games knowing full well that he was only going to field, and he does it with a smile on his face. He's no issues with going up and just doing that dirty job of hanging around hoping that you might get a bat when really you're probably not going to get a bat. And he does that. He does that regular. So I would chuff for him because he has made my life quite easy over the last few years.
Yeah, and those types of players, we've had other players that we know who've done those types of job. Stimmy's young enough and has got the talent enough to, when a chance does arise, he does appear patient enough that he could get a shot in the first team. As going back, Dooch, when you're a young lad, you're never going to go in and open the batting or the bowling, but you made a place your own. And once you do that, they can't drop you. So great work, that, Simmy, and and good luck. Keep going the way you are, and hopefully those breaks will come through when you can get yourself a regular shot. So that's us out to the 2020 quarter-finals, which is a real blow because I really did fancy one of those. Because this year, Gary, I don't know if you're aware, they're playing the semi-finals and finals on the same day, and it would have been a real day out, even if it's at home. But c'est la vie, we've probably not had the rub of the green in and around some of those games, but that's the way it goes. Is that about right, Joe Martin?
I'd say so.
You don't feel, unfairly treated, but that's the way it goes with the rain. So then if we go on to the league game, if we do this week's first, the game from yesterday.
Okay, we can do Todd.
We beat Todd at home. Myself and Dooch watched vast majority of the game. My summary of that, just so it's not always coming back to you, Joe Martin, is that I thought they opened up very well. I thought the pitch looked good. The outfield looked quick. It was hard. The outfield, especially the grass quite short, and they were getting on with it early on. They didn't look in much trouble. We weren't panicking, but I did think they started well. Their opening batter, a lad called Bilal, looked in good nick. Looked like he was playing very well, and they had a platform for 220, 250. But I think it's fair to say we stuck at the task, really, Joe Martin. Would you agree with that summary of the first quarter of the game?
Yeah, I'd say so. It was a good batting wicket. There was a short boundary on one side, and we did stick. I think I dropped a catch early on.
Right.
The lad who got 49, Bilal, who batted very well, but I dropped him when he was in his single figures.
Right.
So the game is slightly different if you get that wicket when you look at how the rest of the team batted, I guess.
Yeah.
But after that, we stuck to task well. Pazza bowled well, and Toxie bowled well, and Paddy bowled well, and Hawkey bowled really well. He was very unlucky in his first spell. Very unlucky.
Yeah, and came back and picked up a couple of wickets, didn't he, Joe? Which will do him a world of good.
Yeah.
And I think, and Frankie had to stop his bowling because he was tired. Weren't he? He bowled quite a spell there, didn't he? What's happened there?
Of one ball, yeah. He's got a slight injury to his pectoral.
Right. And that one ball was a wide.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. I'm not sure that's ever happened before. But
I think on the announcement, it went through all the and Stephen Parry 4 for 50, Francois Hasbrook 1 ball, none for 1.
Yeah, we're giving him some stick yesterday after it anyway, and he is. So then their pro came in, who looked, we were discussing him on the sidelines, and anything pitched up, he just smashed it. But good shots. They weren't playing cow shots. We had a long off and long on, and he going towards the dressing room, cleared long off and long on into the car park. So they were big hits. But it was clear then. I don't know if you picked it up when you were playing, John. It's only afterwards that I picked this up. He didn't look like he could really cut or pull. He had to drive very straight. He used his wrist, but then he didn't have much else. That about accurate?
It was something that Paddy and Francois actually talked about, and Paddy as well, I think. But when Paddy was bowling at him, it was Paddy's length, and he was really struggling to cut and pull. Yeah. I don't know whether that's because of the pitches might be slightly slower than where he's used to, but I'd say so. And Toxie, and it hit some big shots towards the park. Towards the car park. But then trying to hit towards the park, it's deceptive, and and he came short. And so good catch.
Yeah, and then I think they went downhill from there. Bilal got out for 49 and proceeded to kick, boot, thump, and headbutt his own bat and gloves. That was a bit bizarre. And then the bats bounced all over dressing room walls, I believe. And but anyway. That's life. So they end up 1-6. Yeah, it can be frustrating, Joe. Yes, it can. Yeah, but anyway, so it's 1-6-7 all out then, and then you've opened the batting. Did you know about that from a day or two before?
I actually knew as soon as Ben had done his groin at Crompton that I thought, oh, Jesus, right, this is going to be happening now, isn't it? I'm going to have to open next week because Ben can't move. Yeah. So,
is that genuinely how you feel about
batting?
Getting an opportunity to open the batting. It's like
I spent
reluctance.
the whole week trying trying to convince Paddy for someone else to do it.
Why?
I don't know. It's just one of those things. I think it affects my wicket keeping, and I prefer wicket keeping.
Well, you did drop a catch, so
I did, but that was down to ability rather than thought.
Because you kept first. But I mean, I know we had a chat yesterday, and I bumped into you today. But I've got to say, Gary, it is the best knock I've seen from Joe. It was a really good, measured cricket innings of just fantastic shots, sweeping their spinners for fun. They just couldn't bowl to him. It was an outstanding innings, that was, Joe. Well done.
I appreciate that, Jess. Thank you very much.
Sounds great. Moving on from your smashing it in T20, just getting your eye in. It must have been that net the other week.
Yeah.
Do you think, in all seriousness, do you think that little cameo on Friday night helped on Sunday? Because you did play a few shots on Sunday that I wouldn't really associate with you.
Yeah, I agree.
Skipping down and whacking it back past the bowler and stuff.
It's something that me and Blez have been working on for quite a while, because for maybe 4 or 5 years, when I used to bat at 3 in the first team, there would be occasions, and Jez would watch, and Dooch was playing, where I would get stuck. I wouldn't be able to hit through the infield or hit it over the top, and I'd bog everything down. So I've worked really hard on trying to hit straight and hit the ball in the air with a bit of conviction.
Yeah.
And sometimes it comes off, sometimes it doesn't. But I just think that if I at least try and do it, then at least I'm not just sort of like padding it away, and doing that.
Now that's a good point you say there about getting bogged down. The team don't get bogged down when you played like that historically. You get yourself bogged down.
Yeah,
and you can
exactly.
see the next over comes along and you panicking even more. And then and before you know where you are, your back's between your legs and you're not sure. So it was really good to see that. So credit to Blaise as well if he's helped you out with that. Johnny Whitehead batted well again. He looked in tremendous form. I just think the way he got out, I'm not sure that. I think he just got a little bit. I'm not having this lad bowling this to me, and give it away a little bit. I think there.
I think so. I don't think he quite hit it where he was intended. No. I think it was more hitting more towards the tea room. But
I agree.
I think he just didn't quite get it. And again, it happens to the best players, doesn't it? So it's a good catch by the fielder. So
that's the truth. I thought he got bored. It looked to me like he got fed up, like it was too easy for him, and he got bored.
Yeah.
I mean,
he played a rash shot out of boredom.
I mean, it looked on batting with him. I haven't batted with Johnny for a long time. It's just effortless.
Yeah,
it's just class watching him bat.
I mean, looking at 168 off 28 overs. I mean, it on the face of it, didn't seem to be difficult, did it? Obviously people have batted pretty well. I can't comment on the bowling, but yeah, maybe there's something in that, Joe, that he just get on with it or get out sort of thing.
Yeah. It could have been, and it was game over once these two had, once they got to 50. Really, you could see that there wasn't going to be much stopping us winning. But then, and you really surprised me, Joe, when you got out. I was convinced you would end up 70, 75, not out, just play well, let the pro bat around you, and get some experience. So what happened there? What happened with that shot?
The pro had bowled sort of back of a length all day.
Yeah.
And I hadn't really, and that ball I thought was just a little bit more in my kind of area where I thought I'm going to try and hit it straight. And it was just a little bit shorter than I thought, and not to worry.
Just didn't get out. Yeah, but then, so Stephen Parry's come in and Frankie have come in and we've strolled it with 22 overs to go. So if we move on from there to the Crompton games, if that's all right with everyone. If we
absolutely.
Look at, so Saturday into Sunday, you're playing Crompton twice, both away. Bit of a strange, the way the cookies crumble with a cup tie, but these things happen. Did you think of stopping over at Crompton just to get yourself settled in and get up for an early start or not?
I mean, no disrespect to Crompton, but absolutely not.
You'd rather have a rush.
I'd rather have a rush, absolutely.
And you don't like rushing, do you?
And I don't. And on Saturday, me and Blaise, we set off before everybody else and got there last.
Who was driving?
I was driving, but we were following. We went through Rochdale, but Christ, we went through the whole of Rochdale.
Right.
So we got there. We were there a bit late, and for that game, we just didn't score enough runs. We got Johnny had another great start.
Yeah.
Got 30 odd and battered pretty well. And then after that, it was just a little bit stodgy on a good wicket. You know, it was a 220 minimum wicket really, and we
got 193.
And you know, it was. You have days like that, don't you? And we just didn't have enough. And it was the polar opposite to the Sunday, actually, Jez, because on Sunday we got off to a really fast start. Ben battered really well, and because we got 250 on the board, big score, it meant that they had to play differently. On Saturday, they could just sort of stroke the ball about. They didn't play any shots that you thought, oh, they look in trouble there. Whereas on Sunday, they were really going for it and playing shots that you thought they're having to risk. They're having to play a lot of risky shots, and that was scoreboard pressure. And we played well. And you know, I must say on Sunday, I know I haven't really discussed the league game, but the less said about it, the better. But on the Sunday, I have to commend Ben because he batted extremely well. I mean, there must have been at least 24 overs left when he had to retire hurt. But then to come back in at the end when to be honest with you, he couldn't walk properly. To come back in and probably get another 10, 15 to get you past 250 is a really big psychological advantage, I think. And
it is.
It was proper commendable because I'd have been let out in a full bag of ice.
You'd still be crying, wouldn't you?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so no, good on him for that. So get past, like you said, get past that 250 mark, and then they never really look like getting anywhere near. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I think so. It was always going to take one of their players was going to have to get 100, and on the day before, the wicket didn't really do a great deal. It was very hard, and it was a great batting wicket. On the Sunday, there was a bit in it for the bowlers. Hawkey bowled well first up, and then Paddy and Pazza bowled really well. And Paddy bowled very well. They had a few left-handers in their team and turning the ball away bowled really well. And Pazza got their main batter out, and that was a real class delivery where he'd been hit a few times, but he'd told Chaz, just move on to the fielding circle here. And Chaz went back and he just bowled it a little bit slower, and he just went and sort of chipped it to Chaz. It was a real great piece of bowling.
Brilliant.
So it was a good weekend all in all, actually. Although we lost a little bit of ground on the top 2 or 3, getting into the World Cup semi-final was brilliant, and it was a great performance. And and hopefully Ben will be fit for that.
For the semis, No, that's a good summary of those 2 games. And like you said, it happens that what happened in the league, but you've bounced back very well there to win by almost 100 runs in the cup game.
Yeah.
Jez,
yes, go on, dude.
Have you ever been to Crompton? Have you ever played at Crompton?
I think I have, but I can't remember the ground.
It's a nice ground, very nice ground. Now set up with you've got the bar and like a terrace area in front of the bar. But it's the first time I've ever been, and I have to say, I witnessed 2 of the most village bits of cricket I've ever seen.
All right.
Not the actual physical cricket, but the stuff that goes around it. Their wicket keeper, when he was waiting to bat, he had his pads on, went and sat with his mum and dad. He weren't sat outside changing rooms. He had his pads on, and he was sat like 30 yards away from changing room with his family.
How old were he? About 50?
He'd have been in his 20s, Gaz. He weren't a kid, let's put it that way.
Wow.
And then when he got out, he came back out and went and sat with him again with his pads on.
Oh, dear.
It's just wrong, isn't it?
Yeah, that is. Do you have any defence for that, Joe, for Wicketkeepers Union?
No, I don't think people see me in the Wicket Keepers Union because they think I'm a bit odd.
Yeah, well,
The only time,
a lot
the
of
only
wicket
time,
keepers are.
yeah, wicket keepers generally are odd. The only time I can remember any of our lads doing anything similar was, remember Posh Pete Maudsley? Posh Pete Maudsley once did a lap in his pads.
That is village. So
in another bit, Jez.
Yeah.
Sorry. Another was my dad was scoring on the Sunday, and he said the guy who was scoring with had 3 pints whilst he was scoring.
And
only three pints. No, the other village bit was the I don't know how this had come to happen, but the fielders were moving the sight screens. I don't know whether was that something
agreed. We'd agreed it before the game because they had quite a few left-handers.
Right.
We don't.
Not the fielders. Sorry, not the fielders. The batting side.
Yeah, batting side had to move the sight screens. So we agreed before the game that the batting side had to move the sight screens because
for both innings and.
Yeah. But we only have right-handers in our team, so we didn't have to move them.
Right.
But at the back end of their innings, they were having to move the sight screen, and the game had probably, I don't know, maybe there were 6 or 7 down at this stage, so it was in the last knockings. And the guy comes out of their changing room to run to the other end of the ground to move the sight screen. He jogged across the pitch with a beer in his hand whilst the game was going on, and he had his whites on.
Oh my God!
Village.
Yeah, it's proper village cricket. Proper village. So we've summed up there. Thanks for those two, village. We like ending on something more humorous. So I don't think there's anything else. We're playing in the semi-final of the Worsley Cup. That is a week on Sundays. That's correct, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
At home against Walsall, the top 4 in the league are the semi-finalists, so they're going to be tough, but get down and support the lads if you can do for that Sunday game. Gary, is there anything else you want to add before we wrap it up?
Nothing today for me, Jez, I don't think.
No, thanks very much for coming on, Gary. Really appreciate it. Dooch?
Just a quick update on Ben. For those who don't know, he's injured. He's got some ligament damage in his hip and groin. Expects to be back in a couple of weeks, hoping beyond hope to be fit for the cup game.
Right, and has he had problems with the groin before? Because he did it batting, didn't he? It wasn't a big stretch in the field.
Playing a sweep shot.
Yeah.
I don't think he has had problems with it before, Jez, no?
No. Oh, well. Right, well, good luck to Ben for hoping makes a rapid recovery. Joe Martin, anything you want to finish on?
No, not really.
Fantastic. Right, well, hopefully we'll get this out to you within the next week, and then we can hopefully, after that, keep you updated with other interesting points and sections of the game and summaries of each game. So thanks very much for listening, and we will see you all soon.
Gordon, send Morehouse to save the house.